Hi guys, welcome back. CFP here, and this is Survival Living. So today, working on the spindle. So we are taking the tire off, pulling our spindle and replacing that. This is one of the reasons we had to stop here in Panama City during our travel while we were heading to our destination. We're actually going to go to Arizona when we left in February from Apopka, and we're going to winter out there before heading to Wyoming. And the spindle went out, bent it, and the whole shutdown stuff kind of like stuck us in position. So part of our preps, got to make sure everything's ready to go, so we've got to get this spindle fixed. So come on. Now, I was out here yesterday weed eating, getting the grass cut just to get the weeds back, because it is summertime here, and I did get us a pygmy rattler. It's back that way a little bit, but so yeah, I'm trying to be a little cautious around all this stuff, because we haven't moved this trailer for about a month now. Usually I pull it forward, cut the grass and everything. But with work and everything, and our schedules all mixed up with the wife's work, usually she's driving the Tahoe, which has the hitch. So we're working like we are right now. Alright, so jack up just a little bit, because we're going to bust these lugs loose, and then we'll actually jack it up off the ground, make sure that the tire moves, and we'll take the lugs off. We'll get up in this hub, remove the hub, and then we'll remove the spindle. I have never changed one of these particular spindles out. I've changed out axles before. Like I've said, and I've shown other pictures, I used to work for a trailer manufacturing company. So working on trailers is nothing new as far as building them. Replacing single parts is a different story. That lug was awfully tight. Sorry about that, guys. The wind got a hold of the tripod. Now, as you saw, I used my foot on the four-way lug to break it loose. That's actually how you're supposed to break a tire loose. I used to be a mechanic. Yes, I am a welder. I'm a certified welder, journeyman welder, but also used to do mechanic work. I've done mechanic work all my life on my own vehicles, but I used to work for mechanic shops. As a matter of fact, I used to work for a dealership, Kia dealership. And when you're busting tires, of course, we got impacts. You gotta use a four-way. Don't strain your arms. Use your foot, break it loose. Then we jack it up, make sure it's secure, and then we take the wheel off. Alright, you don't want to squat in front of a tire in case your jack drops and you've already took off most of your lugs. You don't want that tire to hit and shoot back at you, so you usually stand up, but I've got an RV right behind me. I don't have that option. I can't stand up in case this thing was to drop and the tire shoot off. So kind of get to the side, kind of deflect as much in case that wheel was to pop off. And you just make sure you keep your lugs out of your work zone, but in an essential area. Last thing you want to do is lose your lugs. Actually, it's called the lug nuts to get technical. The lugs is the threaded studs that come through, usually the rotor. In this case, it's going to be our hub for this trailer axle. Alright, tires off. That's our hub. Now, working on a car, I usually slide my tire underneath the frame of the vehicle in case it drops. It lands on the steel wheel, because usually I'm up underneath the vehicle, and that way the car stands on top of the steel wheel, smashes that, and not myself. But in this case here, we do have our jack underneath. But I have concrete blocks that we're going to block up the frame, just so that when I release the jack here, it sits on a level surface, or at least as level as possible, so we can still work. And since technically this is a two-part video that I'm going to make into one, I don't have my spindle yet. I actually have to go pick it up tomorrow, but I'm off today and tomorrow, so I may as well get as much done as I can today and finish the rest tomorrow. So I'm going to set this out of the way for now. And I'm going to go get our blocks and block this up. Okay, so we've got our blocks and we've got a 4x4 that we've used, and it's on the main frame of the trailer here. I'm going to take the camera and show you exactly where we set this up at, and then we're going to lower this jack down so it sits on the blocks. Alright, there's our block. See, there's our frame, but we also have a cross member that we're trying to hit just for extra support. And here is our hub. The spindle, see this threaded material here? That's our spindle, goes in here. So that is what we are replacing. Alright, so the bearings sound good, but the spindle kits come with new bearings for the hub. So first thing we've got to do is we've got to find the keeper key and remove it, which I am not seeing. Let's take a flathead. We're going through these grooves trying to find where the keeper key is. Now, I usually got a pin that goes through the spindle and comes out on the other side and bent. This keeps this nut from coming off, but I am currently not seeing the key. So that is telling me there is no key, which is no good, because you're supposed to have a pin that goes through this like this and goes through the other side, and you bend it to keep this nut from backing off and losing your hub assembly and wheel riding down the road. Because that right there keeps the bearings in this hub and keeps this rotor piece on. So if this was to back off riding down the road, this along with your tire hits the ground. 1.25 inches. That's not large enough. I believe some of my tools are still in the Tahoe, but we should be able to get this thing to turn. Huh. Nope. Hammer. Couldn't find my chisel, so I'm using the side of this old pair of pliers. Adapting. Really upset there was no pin holding this on, but I'm practically having to beat it off anyway. Getting a little bit of play. There we go. Quarter inch at a time. Takes a while. You know, if I had my iron working tools, I would have had a socket. This is the largest socket I have. It's only 1.25 inches and it's too small. Odds are, it's probably 1.5 inches. But I don't have access to those tools. They're in storage. And the wife is using the truck to go to work. So here we go. The way I'm having to beat this thing off really leading me to believe that whoever put this bearing assembly back together had cross-threaded something. And that's what I'm thinking. I can already see there's damage to the spindle itself. It looks like this wheel did come off and this spindle impacted the ground because it's got a worn out flat spot at the end here, and it's not made that way because the metal is actually peeled up. Let me get you a close-up on that. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. See this? This is all supposed to be a nice flat surface like that right there with the threads, but we've got this piece. This isn't grease, this is metal. It's supposed to be round all the way around, and it's got a ground down spot. They've dropped this wheel assembly has fallen and this spindle has hit the ground. That's why it's bent. Of course, didn't know that until we got in here. So luckily we'll be able to replace all this. Alright, so we got it broke loose. looks like we are able to use our crappy wrench to actually move this freely now. Alright. Yeah, I'm using one of my shirts. Whoops. I didn't have any rags handy. They're all in the truck. Alright. Now, we'll definitely keep this. It looks like the threads seem to be okay, actually. Looking down inside of it, the threads seem to be fine. So we'll set that off. Now, we got our bearings and stuff right here on the inside. We'll get the camera a little closer for you guys. Alright, now to catch the bearings, put your hands up there. Pop your hub out. This is the front bearing. The grease is scorched. Bearing assembly actually looks okay. Now, take a look at our bearing wheels. Look for any burns and things like that. I'm actually going to replace the bearings when I get the hub assembly. You got your race on the inside. Your spindle sits there. This sits on your hub, spins around. Now to pack these things and re-grease them, you go on the back side, you take a palm full of grease and you work it into the cracks. Okay, and you keep working it just like that all the way around until the grease comes out the bearing side. They do have little cups of grease that you actually set the bearings down inside just like this, and it's got a plunger push, and what it does is it pushes the bearing and the grease builds up in the bottom and automatically comes out for you. But it's just, I've always just palmed the grease up and just work it into the bearing itself. So we're going to set this bearing off. It is actually looks good. I don't feel any resistance in the bearing. We'll set over there. Go ahead and take our hub off. Alright, there's our other bearing in the back here. Does not look so good. Checking out our hub assembly here. There's our race and everything down inside. I will be changing out the grease if we decide to keep this hub. I'm going to place it over here for now, out of the way. And now we're going to go check out the other bearing. Alright. It also has some burn up grease in it. Ugh. Luckily, grease, when you go to auto parts store, just get a tub of bearing grease. Many different brands, they're all, to me, work the same. Bearings feel good. I mean, they're all rotating. This grease needs to be re-greased is all. So that's the back bearing, and they are different sizes. The back bearing is larger than the front bearing. All right. Check out the spindle, degrease it here, take a look at it. Well, as of right now, I got good news and bad news. Good news is I got access to the spindle. The bad news is it's not the spindle that I thought was on this trailer. The spindle replacements I was looking at has the spindle and has a notch cut into the side. It goes into a hub, and you just drop a bolt, take the bolt out to replace the spindle. This one is not like that. This is all one piece, which is not good for me, because now it's looking like excuse me, it's looking like I'm going to have to replace this whole axle instead of just replace a spindle. That's what I was worried about. I was really hoping for the best. Alright, let me stick my head up in here. That is a welded on piece. That is a welded on piece. There is no nut. Okay, it's break time. I gotta make some more coffee. Alright guys, so as soon as we get the camera in focus here, that is a grease fitting. There we go. Now that is to easy lube the bearings, that hole right there. Grease comes out, greases that back bearing. Now unfortunately this spindle is bent and damaged. You can see here where it's hit the ground. You can see back here. There it is. It's chewed up. Somebody's been inside this thing and half-assed it. Now, since this is a torsion axle, the plan was to remove this entire piece and put a new one on. Unfortunately, mine is welded on the back side. Some of these have a split right here with a bolt that runs through to tighten down on this back side of this axle on the spindle. Mine does not. I thought maybe it's pressed in. As you can see, there's a nice little gap back there. And usually you have a castle nut on the back side. I do not have anything. I can feel the weld. I took my camera and inspection mirror back there. It is welded and placed. So, checked here. There's rubber bands in this axle. There's 4 large ones, one on each side, that run through the axle. That's the torsion, so you don't need leaf springs. Fortunately, you can't just remove this, because I've looked around to replace this whole hub assembly, and yeah, no, that's not going to work, because this axle, get down here, is all welded together. So I'm going to be replacing this whole axle. That's just a piece of square tubing that the rubber bands run through. Yeah, all this is welded together. See right there, nice little weld. That's the axle. That's the spindle. So, what does this mean? It means that I can either rip this axle out. Keep in mind, I've got 2 brand new tires that are fitted to this hub, and they were not cheap. I can try to find a replacement torsion axle, which for the pounds I need for this trailer for a replacement, it's going to run us about $1,200. No hub. We're reusing the old hubs. I've got to go get new wheel bearings. I've already decided if I'm doing all that, I'm chasing out the wheel bearings, everything. Or I can purchase a straight axle. If I do that, the axle's cheaper, but then I have to build my hangers to install leaf springs on this trailer. I don't have access to a weld machine here. Yeah, a welder without a weld machine. Actually, there's plenty of welders that don't own weld machines because we just don't have one. So that's the decision we're working on right now. I'm gonna go out tomorrow. I'm gonna go to these trailer companies that are nearby. I'm gonna go measure this thing out and see if they've got an old spare one laying around somewhere, something I can will and deal, buy at a discounted price, something that fit, and put up underneath this thing. They may have one, they may not. So that's where we're sitting at now, guys. It's frustrating, it really is. But this is the tire that's been chewed up when we're traveling. Should I have done a better inspection? Well, yeah, now hindsight, sure. But just like purchasing a vehicle and everything else, you don't pull the wheels off and look at the rotors and everything else. Same with the trailer, you just don't pull everything apart on a vehicle. You know, most people won't let you do that anyway. But, so this is where we are on this. This has been modified, jerry-rigged, back in position. Spindle's bent. You can't just replace the spindle on this axle. You have to replace the whole axle. Now the question is, do I replace the axle with an existing torsion axle, something I can repair by actual parts, or do I completely do away with this style, swing in a straight axle, and install hangers for a leaf spring, which, mind you, takes time. Alright. Can I do it? Sure I can. Usually when I build trailers, they're flipped over. We have them set up so we can just do all the bottom side, weld all the hangers in place, put the axles on, bolt them all down, then flip them over. I used to build tandem trailers and stuff like that. So this here is just a swift kick in the, you know what, sorry if I sound down. It's just, my whole life is something that should have been an easy fix is never an easy fix. Some jackleg has already screwed over something. They cram it all together and they try to pass it off on somebody else. That way when the person realizes, hey, there's something wrong with this, and they go to fix it, there's no easy way to fix. So I had thought about, let me swing the camera around, grinding this weld out of the backside, pressing this bearing out. I'm pressing the spindle out, replace with a new spindle, drill out this back hole so I can get a castle nut on the back side and pull the spindle into place. And that's a 50-50 chance that that's even going to work. So instead of putting the funds to that project that may or may not work, I believe we're going to go ahead and swap it out. I'm going to look at the total cost of swinging leaf springs compared to just going with another torsion axle. So anyway, guys, y'all take care. Got a lot of crap. We probably will not be doing a weekly prep video this week, as you can see. We got some other things to work on. I feel like we have to have this axle repaired. Multiple reasons. One, though, obvious, if we've got to move, I want to be able to move. Being able to pull this trailer is very nice, especially with the Tahoe is so large. It's got a great towing capacity. We can put a lot of our stuff in here, a lot of our survival equipment if we need to. I mean, we're living out of this 6x12 trailer. This is what we're taking to Wyoming. Upside, it happened now and not down the road somewhere where I have nowhere to work on this thing. So always gotta look at the bright side of things. Anyway guys, I'm gonna let you go. I'm going to make me a cup of coffee, wallow in self-pity. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna give me a new game plan. My plans have changed since what I was gonna be doing tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna be looking at axle replacements. Axle replacement's not hard. There's only a couple bolts in the bottom side of this thing going to the frame. So that's actually pretty simple. If I can find a replacement torsion axle, decently priced, we're going to grab it. If I have to change out the hub assemblies to match my tires, or if I have to just buy new tires, that's just the way it's going to be. So anyway guys, y'all take care.